Welcome, YouTube, to a special edition of the Culture of Currency. I will be sure to display plenty of silver as we talk about a topic that I think could benefit many people greatly. Today we talk about safety and security in regards to silver, gold, or any other tangible value that you might have. I'm not going to talk about safes and guns because there are plenty of videos about that, and if they know where you live, you've already lost anyways. I will plug Liberty Safes and Sig Sauer Arms just because it took 5 seconds to do so, and I trust their products if that's what you're interested in. But that's not why we're here today. I wanted to create today's content to help the YouTube world, be it content creators or viewers, in the attempt to show you how to become more aware of the world around you and how best to protect you and your loved ones' lives and property. Most of what I talk about will be a proactive approach to safety because, like I said, if someone wants to do harm, the best piece of information they can have is your address. I know many of you collect silver or gold or any other kind of valuable, and I would hate for you to spend your money on these things just to see them get stolen when they're delivered by the mail to your porch. So why should you listen to me talk about this topic? What credibility do I have? Here are some experiences that might help you understand why I follow the rules that I will lay out and why your probability of success will increase if you apply them as well. Many of you watch my videos because you have or want to have a collection of precious metals. I want to make sure you do not put a target on your back in the process. I grew up in a household that was very strong in many aspects of law enforcement. I grew up exposed to FBI, Homeland Security, U.S. Marshals, all the way down to standard police officers. I had to learn many ways to survive if something were to go wrong. Due to some of the events of my past, I spent much of my childhood under government protection. You couldn't look up my phone number or address in phone books or yearbooks for that matter, or any other area unless you had access to a certain database. It was in that time that I had to learn about the raw and unfiltered shadows of life. I've seen death and been hunted. I've developed in time a particular set of skills because of the events in my past. It both robbed my childhood of innocence but also provided knowledge and wisdom in how to survive. Here's a direct example of awareness and practice. When most kids were taken to the park to play, they would run from their vehicles, have fun carelessly, happy going to the slides and jungle gyms. I, however, would find myself even at a young age looking out the window of the car before exiting the vehicle to watch until each person felt like they were supposed to be a natural part of that scene. I would also scan the trees and nature for areas so that if something were to happen, I had an area to go to for natural cover, which was actually an advantage for me because I always studied nature as a kid. You see, I would often study animals in my walks in the woods. What does the deer do when it's startled? What birds alert of a stranger, and which ones go silent when something is near? I wanted to be able to survive in an area that was surrounding my habitation so that if I ever needed to go to the woods where I lived, I could live there for maybe a week or so until things calmed down. I needed to know what berries I could eat, how to dig up roots, how to search for edible plants, all of those types of things. And this is all, before I was in 6th grade. So those were all types of indicators that developed my awareness. My hope in this video is to give you some indicators to be aware of so that you can be proactive in your safety and security. I do not say this because of fear, but I say it out of precaution. I do not really fear anything, but I prepare for just about everything. In policing, the military, or various martial arts, you are taught of a psychological response cycle called the OODA Loop, O-O-D-A. OODA stands for Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act. In the military, martial arts, and policing world, you are taught to have composure so that your OODA Loop is always intact while you cause a disruption to the loop for your opponent if you're in confrontation. The reason for this is that the brain always has to start this loop from the beginning if it's disrupted. So you have an advantage, time-wise and psychologically wise, if you disrupt somebody else's OODA loop. So you have a higher probability of success in a physical response, fleeing, or just outwitting an opponent. This is where we start with your awareness. The first two O's of the OODA loop are observe and orient. You need to be intentionally observant at all times. Every time you walk into a new room, this cycle should be intentional. In policing, you are taught to watch the hands, for example, because almost all harm that would come to you in confrontation starts with the hands. Proactivity is key to observing and orienting yourself with the situation. Here are direct examples I practice. How many of you knew that just with your name, I could find your address and the value of your home? It takes a while sometimes, but almost all records are searchable in online property tax databases. When your home taxes are appraised in America, they are posted online in databases in your county or parish, which are accessible online or through Freedom Information Act. Basically, you just go online, you go for a particular county, you can type in a name or an address, and it will pop up all that information. So how do you get around that? The answer comes with creating a trust for your assets. When you create a trust, you can name it just about anything. The trust is then the holder of the property legally, and you are the executor of the trust, so it's still yours. Therefore, when they search for your name on these databases, it doesn't show up in the system. When they search for your property, the name of the trust appears instead of your own. So if you name it something silly like the Green Pineapple Trust, they'll have no indicator that that's from you. This is added protection, especially when you are known in your town to have wealth or assets. What about social media? This channel is actually the only social media that I have. I hate all social media, but not for security reasons, though they do have a ton of those as well. I would caution you to use social media for marketing of a business, but would never subject my family. There are too many people willing to do bad things just so my aunt can see what my kids are doing. I will email loved ones videos and pictures off social media before I ever create an Instagram or Facebook. You're just putting out features of your surroundings that makes it much easier for somebody to find you. Another easy but tedious thing you can do is Google your name. You will see so many websites with public domain information such as your phone number, family members, and address. It's a long process, but you can actually get your information removed by contacting these sites and requesting to be removed. What about if you're leaving work and you think somebody's following you? I personally have 3 routes that I alternate to get home. None of them are direct paths and have intentional turns that would be not used by the majority of traveling public. That being said, I often check my mirrors, and if a car is following me the majority of my trip home, I deviate to see if they follow me. If I think they are truly following me, I disturb their OODA loop by pulling over to see if they stop too. If they do, the plan is to immediately get back on the road and contact authorities, and do not stop until authorities pull that car over. Can you give out your phone number? What I do is I have my cell phone number that is given out to family only, but I have a Google Voice number that is free and linked to an email account that I created especially for this purpose, and it forwards all calls and text messages to my phone without giving out my personal number. Believe it or not, if somebody has your number, they can find your name. What about the mail? Creating a post office box is great for all things that need to be mailed from a non-secure source, but also can give you geographic clues such as a zip code. This is why I currently do not have a post office box for my channel yet. I have to weigh the risk and reward. I've had many reach out to me to give me silver for giveaways, but I always have to decline because the risk to reward ratio will not be advantageous unless I am making money from this channel. Plus, I want my content to be good enough on its own. So if you do get a post office box, I recommend you getting it a town or two over and then traveling, so that if somebody did want to harm you or steal from you, they were starting off in a place other than your city. What about credit cards? During COVID, it became a lot harder for cash transactions, as we all know, but those restrictions are slowly lifting. The more you pay in cash, the less likely you are to be a victim of data breaches. If you need to do online purchases, one smart way to do is to buy gift cards with cash and use the gift cards for online purchases so that they're never tracked to your name. Another thing you can think about doing is freezing your credit. You really honestly don't need credit if you pay everything in cash. You can buy homes without credit and many other things, but that's neither here nor there and a topic for another video, but basically it's just another protective source for your wealth and assets. These are some things that I do to give myself a statistical advantage of success. Now let's point out some things that I see all the time on YouTube that could be a security risk. I'm not a malicious person, but want to point out that these things are indicators of location. The first of which is cars. Whenever I see a car in the background, I look for the license plate, especially if there are multiple cars. The more I see of one state, the better I can focus on a location. I also look for the windshield stickers and bumper stickers and any other indicators of location on vehicles. Sometimes it's a local membership to an organization or a parking lot sticker. All of these give me an idea to hone my search. The next area is landscaping and neighborhoods. Trees, geographic formations, animals, and other natural elements are good indicators as well. Let's say you are filming outside and all I see are conifer trees. That already marks in my mind areas of the country where those trees are found. What if a particular species of bird flies through the background? I can cross the habitat with the tree and get even closer. What if there are mountains that have a red sandy look to them? Once again, it's getting me closer and closer to knowing where to look for you. Big security no-nos for me would be shots of streets, houses, and drone shots from a bird's eye view, and anything else that is not generic. If you give me a drone shot of your neighborhood, it's just like a fingerprint. The street layout may be generic, but the trees and cars are not. Neither are the items in the backyard, such as trampolines and pools. A little time studying your video and social media and using Google Earth would make this a fun puzzle for a smart bad guy. People and public is our next area. If you are filming at Target, I can start to pick up on accents and trends of the public. There are differences in the way people talk and dress in California versus Montana versus Ohio. Anytime I get a view of people in public or public places, I get tons of information on locations, especially if you go somewhere that is, let's say, a local coin shop and you show the front of the building. It's the only one like it, very easy to find. In the silver and gold community on YouTube, we see a lot of good practices, but I wanted to make sure that this video would address local people who catch on to you and what you have, as well as the online community. I always wish for the best for each of you watching, but know that at times the world can be a harsh place with bad people. Remember, having a gun to protect your assets is only valuable if you're there. If somebody knows where you live and waits for you to leave, the gun no longer has value. I hope by watching this you have become more aware of your surroundings, and if you post more videos or talk about your assets to others, that you start seeing the safest way to do so. I want you to be safe and feel safe in your journey with precious metals, and I pray for your safety and health. Thank you for watching this episode, and as always, please subscribe so that you can remain classy and current with the culture of currency.